Welcome to Dental Unscripted, where Mike Dinzio and Paula Quinn break down the practice ownership journey, one episode at a time. Starting up, buying, and running a successful dental practice.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Dental Unscripted. My name's Michael Dinzio, and I have Miss Paula Quinn. How you doing, Paula? How you doing?
I'm great.
We are we are doing an episode together, just the two of us. And today's topic is going to be all about why you would consider doing a startup in the first place. Does it even make sense? I think a lot of people see a startup as a potential financial disruptor to their life. And in a lot of ways, it is. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about financials. We're going to talk about the pros of a startup. And you know what? It might leak into the negatives of buying a practice. And that's a real thing. And so let's get this party started real quick. Please like, subscribe, do all the things. It really does help us, guys. Paul and I do this for fun. We enjoy it. It's our way of giving back. But we would love for you just to support us by simply liking it, just liking it. I mean, it's always nice to be liked, I guess, is how I would say that.
I mean, if you want to interact even more, great, but just like it so we know you're out there.
Just like us. We need more friends. So look, like this podcast is all about how to start, buy, and run a dental practice. And today we're talking about startup. And Paula and I both still coach our startups from start to finish. It's a passion of ours as the owners of Next Level. We've got lots of coaches that do lots of different things, but startup is one of those things that's just, we love doing it and helping you throughout that process. So I always get like, Mike, I can't do a startup because there's no cash flow. And I think that's why everybody is thinking about acquisition over startup. Paula, like they think buying a practice that has some cash flow feels good, feels better. And in a lot of ways it does. But the reality is buying a practice can be very not so easy. And we've seen it. Practices go up and down in production post close. The team is extremely difficult sometimes, hard to transition. Patients don't transition. The credentialing process is hard. I mean, equipment's old. I mean, we could go on and on about the challenges of a practice acquisition going badly. So why do a startup? When does it make sense? Paula, in your mind, like when you think about doing a startup, what are the pros to you from your perspective with all of our time with our clients? What do you see that's pretty cool about startups that you don't really get for doing acquisitions?
I would say it's kind of like, to me, it's kind of like buying a new car versus like a old kind of broken one. You sometimes you get lucky and you get a really good one. And sometimes you get kind of that lemon, or that maybe not even a lemon, but that one that it's just lived its life cycle, and it's like one thing after another. If it's not the equipment, it's the team, it's the it's the patient demographic. Although there's patients, maybe it's not quite the demographic that you had hoped for, or that you can sell your kind of dentistry to, or the office has a certain amount of brand. So it's probably the best way I can describe it is like a house or a car that, you know, sometimes you get a really good one and it's great and the kitchen's right where you want it, or you've got another 30,000 miles before you need this or that. Or all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's the transmission. Oh, the spark plugs. Oh, I don't know the names of car stuff. So that's about it. was like,
she went down the car analogy and then ran out of gas on
I
that.
felt like I knew more than that because I have had cars that need a lot of stuff, but I couldn't think of anything. The tires, the this, the that.
Yeah.
And then you're just sort of disenchanted because you're like, oh my gosh, this thing is old and decrepit, and I literally almost have to tear it down and redo it to make it what I want. And then
Yeah.
you could have done a startup. So I mean, that's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, no, I think that's that's exactly right. So for me, like the biggest thing that I see is our doctors just don't want to take the financial leap to that to doing a startup. Um and I think there's definitely something to be said for that. But let me attack the financial part of this first. Okay, so the financial impact is definitely the big thing that everybody comes to me at. And yes, it's true. You do a startup, you have no patience. But consider this. Consider you get to choose the location.
I almost said that
That
earlier. I forgot that part.
Yeah, I mean, with an acquisition, you're choosing the location, but you're buying it for the cash flow. It's almost like doing a deal with the devil. Like I'm taking this deal because of cash flow, but I'm not really taking it for any other reason. That's how I think about
It's not
acquisition.
where I want. It's not what I look like or what I want it to look like. It's not. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
There it is, and where a startup you get to literally create everything you want. And what if I told you that there are reports called demographic reports where you get to choose an area where there is a demand for a new office? So if there's a demand for a new office, then really it's just a matter of planting a flag, getting out there, shaking trees, kissing babies, do all the things, probably accept insurance. But it's how you do a startup that can keep you from being in financial strain. And how we teach our clients and coach our clients is, look, steps before you run, or baby steps before you run. And it comes down to the size of the space, how you hire, keeping your associate job, how much cash you have on hand. Do you have a partner, spouse, family member that's supporting you? Keeping your bills low. If all of that's happening, getting the right loan, if all of that is happening, the financial impact really isn't as dramatic as you might have in your head. And so I just want to approach that really quickly, Paula. When our clients approach you and Paula heads up the back end of our startups and gets the offices up and running with the schedule and the team. Um, in your mind, how do you keep overhead low as you approach how many days you're open and how many employees you hire and what those roles are and why? Because it's all about breaking even. And if you do too much, you're not going to break even for a lot longer down the road. So for me, it's this is one of the biggest pieces is team, days open.
Well, I mean, I have two. I'm going to talk out both ends of my mouth here. If in a perfect world, we would hire one person and be open 2 days a week.
Mhm.
However,
And what's that one person?
that's the problem. If
Oh.
you hire for dental assistant and you have her quasi up front, every time we're in the back, the phone doesn't get answered.
Mhm.
So if we were going to do that, we would have to solicit some sort of outsourcing service. But then you have patients who do walk in and no one's there to greet them. So truly the answer is two. You hire one front, one back.
Mm.
Ideally, if they're both cross trained, it's even better. Ideally that back office would be cross trained. Ideally that front office would have dental experience. That's the perfect world. Financially, if they could hire one, that would be better on them, but I think that puts a strain on patient experience, and I wouldn't want to do that in a startup. I wouldn't want calls missed, people walking in off the street. So you do have to have two.
Okay, so if you have two people, I like that. That's what
How I
I
like
would
to do all of
do
it.
too. to
No
me,
hygienist. No hygienist yet, as much as I love them. No.
no hygienist yet. And to me, like, you can have more people as long as you have less days worked. Less days, you can have.
Only if they're producers because well, or they're a dental assistant and you can put more people in. Because if you're just, if you're only open one day, you don't need 2 front office people. Now,
Right.
if you have the patient flow and you're a dentist and you have 2 dental assistants and you have 2 chairs, then my answer would be yes. Hiring an additional person is not going to hurt you because you as a dentist are going to be producing, hope at least 1.5 times more because you've got a second person and it's going to cover their wages and allow you to do more. So it's going to be a win-win. So
Hmm.
there's like a balance to all that.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
no, to your
one day a week would probably not be realistic.
no,
So
but what I was saying, you said if you hire more people and stay the same amount of days, I'm saying I disagree with that depending on what their position is and what you do with them.
mhm.
But if you don't have patient flow, you're just still gonna be sitting there with 3 people, even if you're
Wha-
only open 2 days.
yeah. So that is part of this discussion is marketing. We've had a lot of marketing conversations. It If you have 25 new patients a month and you're open 12 days a week, that's what, 2 patients a day, give or take. 25 divided
2
by 12
patients
days.
a week
That's
or
two. That's
a
two. That's
month or a week?
no. That's 2 patients a day,
I know
and
you said
so
12 patients or 12 days a week.
oh, 12 patients a month. 24 new patients your first month, working 12 days a month. Then you're looking at 2 patients a day, and so again, we get that question a lot. Is like, hey, I want to hire, and we have a client. I want to hire a hygienist, a front office person, a dental assistant. I want to be open 3, 4 days a week. And it's just not the Field of Dreams movie. We always say that if you build it, they will come. Someone needs to remake that movie, by the way. It's a fantastic movie. It's an old movie. Only maybe you and I know it. I hope the audience knows that movie. Go watch it. Kevin Costner. It's a
I
classic.
knew on the other episode you brought it up, and I knew you weren't done having the
I
conversation.
wasn't. It didn't
You were so
feel.
disappointed that you didn't get
It
offended.
didn't feel like I was done with it. So I had to bring it back to this episode. Exactly. Startups, it's just not like that, right? And so it's all about managing wages. Wages are your biggest expense. And so minimize days open, minimize how many people work, produce as much as you can with the new patients you've got. That's step one. And you will break even much sooner. Our clients usually break even somewhere between month 4 to 6. The average is somewhere between 6 to 8. So breaking even means you're not taking home any money, but all your bills are paid. That's break even. And then any extra is yours to take home.
So
If you,
ideally, it's 3 days, 2 team members.
I mean, I'm with you. I'd like 2 days. I'd love 2 days.
Like to,
Yeah.
but
But
it's
most,
very difficult, for ask someone to only see their new baby twice a week.
mhm. Exactly. Do you find that because you're the ones helping them place the ads? Do you find that's a hard ask of employees to work 2 days?
I haven't had any issues at all.
Finding people that are willing to work 2 days?
Well, I mean, we haven't really tried a lot 2 days. We've always tried 3, but no problem at all. I mean,
Wow.
the caliber of people that not caliber, as in are they experienced, non-experienced? The people who wanna do a startup, who are willing to be flexible with that schedule, I have a flexibility. I don't know that 2 days would make or break whether they were gonna work for you.
If that's the case, I love the idea of 2 days and staggering them and do like a Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, and stagger the weeks of 2 days a week. But guys, the point that I'm making here is if you're worried about the financials, there's a way to manage this so that your expenses are low and so that you have an opportunity to break even inside month 4 to 6. And if you do break even, you have the rest of the year to try to make that money. And that the average money made in that first year is about 80,000, 80 to 100. And so if you could make 80 to 100,000 at this startup, and then you could make maybe 60 to 80, even 100 at your associate position, probably not 100, but the two together make up pretty much the average of what you all make in a year. I don't know if you know that, but the average doc makes somewhere between 120 and $160,000. So for you listeners that are associates driving to work today, I'm wondering if you fall into that range. If you do, understand that if you do a startup the right way, it's a really good chance you make the exact same amount of money you made this year or last year doing a scratch startup, if that's unbelievable. So for me, the financial impact is absolutely a concern. If you're someone that makes 200, 300,000, 400,000, I have clients like that. And I always have that conversation. Are you willing to take a step back in your financials the first year? And hopefully those people have more money in savings, so they're willing to take that hit the first couple of years. But for those of you that earn the average, a startup is an easy step.
Is there, because you get this more than me though, and we actually talked about it on the marketing call a little bit. Is there some advice? Because if I'm a dentist wanting to do a startup and I need to be in Scottsdale, Arizona, between Shea and, you know, let's call it McDonald, you know,
Yep.
I'm going to have I'm probably not going to do what you're saying right now. Right. So what,
Well, I'm glad you asked because
oh, look at
the
you all keyed up.
the topic today is, when does a startup make sense? Well, we have clients that have hired us to be their buyer advocates, which means they're sending us prospectuses we're looking at and valuing, working through the process, or their coaches to buy a practice. And they have been on the market. I can think of three that are your exact people looking at Scottsdale, Arizona.
Once.
One of them, for sure. I know three. And they want a very specific area. This is where they want to be. And I'm sorry, there are not practices out there to buy. And you can keep looking and looking and looking. And guess what? The crappy they end up sending me the crappiest practices to purchase, only because they want to be in that area. Like, oh, something just popped
I
up.
want a
Look at
1 mile radius, remember?
yeah, yeah. And
And
I'm
they
like
want
this.
the crappiest practice
So
ever.
then I have to coach them and say, well, yeah, this practice kind of sucks, but sure, it's a practice to buy in the area that you want to be. And it's not what I want for them, but it's a practice in the area, and it has some cash flow. They're chasing cash flow in a specific area. I would make a statement and say, you're probably better off doing a startup. Guys, you're probably, if you want a if you live in Scottsdale, McDonald, and whatever, Scottsdale, McDonald, and that's where you want to be, and your kids go to the school, and your spouse makes $1 bazillion in tech and whatever, that may be your case or not. But like, yeah, do a startup. That's the best time to do it, because you get to control the location. Now, the factor there is, it goes back to that financial impact, because there's probably a lot of competition in these areas that you're very, very hung up on. If there's a lot of competition, the business model needs to be a little bit different. I would argue that the office needs to be a lot smaller, back to the hiring right, continuing to work, maybe open 1 or 2 days max. It's a slow growth process. You can't it's not like you can just go into Scottsdale, Arizona and say, I'm going to do a 3,500 square foot space. I'm going to get a hygienist, dental assistant. We're going to work 4 times in 4 days, and we're just going to crush. That would be a very naive situation, and you'd get yourself into some big trouble going into a very competitive market. So what I say is yes, choose your very specific area, be smart about it, condense it, make it smaller, and make that work for you, lifestyle, and slowly grow it. Maybe sign a shorter lease, because if you do outgrow it, you can pivot in 5 years, which isn't the normal playbook. But again, the business plan has to make sense if you are very married to a specific area. So So yes, financial impact, we debunked that. Very specific area. You're a startup candidate. Um, I already made, I guess I'll pivot to the next thing. And that is we get clients that have very, very, very specific visions. They know exactly what they want, the kind of dentistry they want to do, the kind of technology that they want to have, patients that they want to market, all the things. And Paula, if you're working with a client like that and they go to buy a practice, what are your thoughts? I mean, I hate to say it, I'll go live. Someone that bought your practice reminds me of that. And it probably worked out for her, and I hope it did. But that's
You're gonna,
traditional.
yeah, you're gonna struggle because if let's just use, high-end clientele and you want to do cosmetic and clear aligners, if you're in an area that the demographics around it do not support that, or you buy a practice that they haven't been doing that in, you if it already has a patient base of whatever 800,000, none of them have been introduced to it. They've probably been referred out. If anybody's even been identifying it, it's
No.
going to feel weird when you come in and start diagnosing that stuff. So you have to tiptoe in and tiptoe for a while, or you're gonna get a reputation pretty fast on the
Yeah,
things happening.
it's very hard to flip a practice's vision. What did you say? Culture?
Sure, not the
Culture.
culture of the team, but the culture of the patients, the culture of what we've been allowing to happen. It's just like if patients are used to leaving without paying, it's very hard to shift that culture of those patients of, "No, you have to pay before you leave," and,
Mhm.
"No, you get charged when you don't show up." It's hard,
Right.
it's rough on the team because Miss Doctor so and so is so nice and never charge, and we sent the patient bills and blah blah. Now
Mhm.
we gotta shift it, so it's hard on the team, it's hard on the patients.
What's really interesting is like those doctors, and we've helped them, uh, that have super crystal clear visions that have tried to convert practices into that. It's almost like they're starting a startup inside the practice they purchased. They're burning almost all the bridges, which is the whole reason they bought in the first place, was for the cash flow and the stability. But then they go in and they burn it down and create a startup within the practice they purchased. So they might as well have just did a startup, but they couldn't get past the startup gap in their head. And so they went and bought a practice and totally
You're absolutely
changed it.
right. You're absolutely right about my practice. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why marketing matters when you buy a practice and you're trying to change the vision, because you're changing the vision. You're expecting the patients that you bought to not really love the culture like that you just said, Paula. And so then you're doing that new culture to the new patients and keeping them, and then you kind of stay in that break even for a while until you start growing. And so back to when it makes sense to do a startup. Well, when you have a crystal clear vision, you know exactly what you want to do and the kind of desk you want to be and the patients you want to have, the technology you want to get. That is when you do a startup. If that's you, you're going to be very disappointed if you buy a practice. So don't do a deal with the devil and chase money. When does chasing money ever really work out for people? It doesn't. It doesn't. So, can you think of anything else, Paula? So we've covered financial impact or the financials, the very specific location. Are those startups a clear vision, very crystal clear vision, strong leadership? you know, can you think of any other things that lead someone or might lead to someone of why they want to do a startup?
Well, I kind of touched on it, and you can shut me down if but I do think you get to hire people that match and mirror, like people like to be around each other, and you get to do that. And
Hmm.
I watch it all the time with acquisitions is they go in just completely trusting the person that already made a muck of the actual practice that they're purchasing, the ARs, whatever. and they want to trust them so bad because it's such a foreign area to docs to work up front, the reporting, the insurance, the billing, so it's very easy. And I don't I don't know how to say it. I don't know a good word for it.
Yeah.
But it's very easy. It's the easy way out to say, okay, Mary Sue's been up front. She's been running this practice. Just run it. So you're doing yourself a disservice because you're not learning to be a business owner and a leader. Again, you're trusting a $30 an hour to drive your $1 million business. And I think you fall into the same trap of now you're just a dentist again. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you do a startup, you get the chance to learn how to drive everything.
I love this.
It sounds miserable and awesome all at the same time. You get to design it. You get to pick how you want your patients to be greeted. You get to start from scratch from those crappy ARs and insurance companies that people put the same insurance in their practice management software 500 times. You get to create clean systems that you can trust. You get to know your business. You get to manage your business. And you at the head of the helm is really the only person you can ever trust. As good as I am, as good as Michael, if I'm driving your car around, I'm going to probably hit a curb. You're not going to. That's your $1 million vehicle. So I just think I kind of changed paths, but I just think you're forced to be the owner and leader that you should be in your practice. You get to bring on the people that make the most sense to you. And it goes back to vision. You get to create it from the ground up. When you buy a practice, you inherit the good and the bad and the ugly, and you can't always change the ugly. If you get rid of Mary Sue up front, you're worried you're going to lose half the patient base. You don't have anyone that's willing to work with this crappy software and these files on the wall. Mary Beth will. She knows everything. Mary Sue, whatever her name was a minute ago. She knows how to do it all from scratch on pieces of paper without technology. So you get caught in a little bit of a trap. And I've seen docs do it time after time. It's kind of like they throw their hands up because they don't know how to fix all the broken stuff. So they're just just going to let it run. And then they're sacrificing their vision and just because this is all too much to manage and handle and change.
No, that's good. I've never really heard. I mean, I've never heard it that way, but you're absolutely right. If you are the individual that likes to control things, you're very type A, and you like to know.
Or even B plus.
Yeah.
It's not going to
be like you're the type that just wants to own all of it, meaning you want to know about all of and you want to control it, and you want to hire the team and all the things. Like, you're right. Our startups get the opportunity to really understand on some level how to submit claims and why things don't get approved and paid, why things get denied, because you're doing 2-3 patients a day. And you're watching your ARs, and you jump in when Nancy Joe's not getting a ton at the front, and you fire Nancy Joe and get someone else. And you're not afraid to do that because you can submit claims if you needed to.
You get to experience it from all of it.
You
know why. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, but when you don't know, you check out and you're kind of like.
Yeah. No, it's true. Like when you buy an $800,000 million practice, you don't have time to be looking at every claim. And so you trust your team, and you do get the same dysfunctionality that the seller had. You thought you were going to be the world's best owner. Well, guess what? Ownership just punched you right in the face because you have a schedule that's $6,000 a day. And you're like, shit, what? I'm going home. I'm tired. I'm going to hang out with my kids, my wife, whatever. No, startups are not they're not tired. They're stressed that there aren't more patients, but it's all part of the process. And actually it works out in the end of the 12 months. And so like it's two different types of stress. So to Paula's point, I made this topic, you own it, all of it, and it's because you touch all of your practice and you get an opportunity. I think the doctors that do a startup scale faster for this exact point that you made. Because when I talk to DSOs and stuff, people that buy their first practice, now there's of course anomalies, but the people that do a startup can buy or start pretty easily again, the second and the third, because they did a startup. They know every little intricacy and created SOPs in their brain. And even if they're not documented, they've got them in their head. So when they buy a practice, they're going to be like, you guys do what? No, we're changing that, because they know the difference. If they do a startup, it's like, oh, just run the same playbook. So I think the ones that do a startup and have that experience have the ability to scale faster. Maybe that's not true. I don't have data on that, but my guess is you'd be more prepared to scale. So, okay, that does it, folks. If you're thinking about doing a startup and you're just not sure, you're overwhelmed about the process, reach out. It's literally what we do. We help you guys go from concept to ownership, and it's a lot of pieces to the puzzle there. And Paula and I personally still coach all of our startups, and it's a joy and it's an honor to be part of that journey. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's moments where you're stressed and you're freaking out, and then there's this beautiful thing 6, 7, 8 months into it, and you're kicking butt and you're feeling good, and you kept your associate job, and there's enough money to go around, and it starts becoming like the best thing that you've ever done. So I would challenge you to reach out, or any consultant that's going to help you. You need a consultant if you're going to do a startup. I boldly believe that. So, Paula, any last comments before we shut the program down?
No, other than if you want to buy, we love you too. And
exactly.
And there was no shame there. Just kind of, it was about when it makes sense, and there's a lot of cool things about it. So that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Without any more time here, enjoy the rest of your day, folks. Reach out, and thanks for being part of our community. Thank you. Talk soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Let us know how you like the show. Rate us on Apple and Spotify. Subscribe and follow for more.